Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing today? My name is Lawrence Laddie, aka Mr. International, and I'd like to welcome everyone to Financial Independence through Small Multifamily Investing. Tonight we have a special guest, straight from Houston, Texas. So, before further ado, I'm going to bring you Nicole Gauthier. Thank you, Nicole, for coming. We appreciate you taking your time from your family, right? And the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, first off, I want to just thank everyone for coming out today and listening to my story and what I have to say. And hopefully I don't ramble and stuff too much. But I want to just say that I'm honored to be here. One other thing too is that I want this to be something that's like great conversation that's going forward. So if people have questions and they want to engage, I'm happy to just have that conversation as I kind of go along in my spiel, I guess you could say. So kind of just a little bit about me, Nicole Gautier. I actually live in Houston, Texas. I grew up in Canada, but my family is from Louisiana. So I have some very Cajun, different kind of roots from kind of all over. But growing up in Canada, definitely had a different experience. So fast forward, I have an oil and gas background, and so does my husband. So that's actually what ended up taking us down to Houston, Texas. So have a finance background, worked as an oil and gas accountant for many years. And I always kind of felt like, in that W-2 role that, working not 9 to 5, more of that like 7 to 7 type role, very long hours, just felt like that just really wasn't me. Felt like I was kind of like in this box, and I knew, as an accountant, it was kind of like most of the individuals that I worked with, it was not that they were necessarily stuffy. It was just that conversation, like when you're bubbly and everyone else around you is not quite like that, you feel like kind of held back. So even on my journey of working W-2, I felt like there was something that was kind of like kind of missing in a sense. Let's see, I'm trying to think. Thinking back, I guess on my journey, I realized that entrepreneurship really was something that I kind of was born with. So neither of my parents had a entrepreneurial background. They worked very great W-2 jobs, and we were told that kind of traditional route where you go to school, you get a great job, and you work until you are retirement age at 65, and like that kind of traditional way. And I knew that just was kind of the route that I didn't necessarily want to take. So looking back on it now, I feel like my entrepreneurial journey actually started when I was a kid. So I remember being 4 and 5 years old. I went to St. Cecilia. So I don't know, there's probably no one else that's on here that's from Louisiana, but Catholic elementary school. And there, if you got good grades, you got these little gold cards. And the gold card would allow you to go up to this like window where you could pick out like a treat. So you pick out like candy, and most of the time it was candy. And so I would go and I'd grab my free treats and whatever from my good grades, and I'd bring them home. And I actually had started a candy business in my room as a 4 and 5 year old. Now, mind you, I will say that my dad was probably my only client. He was the only one that was ever in there like, oh, what you got up in that corner there? Like, oh, what do you have? But I knew, I was like, my dad liked Snickers and he liked Airheads. So I'm gonna go for these and let's see if I can like create some sort of, get a couple extra quarters or whatever, right? Fast forward from my candy shop, I was probably anywhere between 8 and 10. And I'm sure my mom remembers this. But me and my friend decided to make bracelets. And so we took some time, we made bracelets, and we went and sold them door to door and made some money. We hit up a construction site and we had some contractors that were purchasing our stuff too. So it was great. Just in my journey, I realized like age 11, age 14, I was working like two jobs. I think I worked at a grocery store and I was babysitting. I had a side business, I guess, making really great money. And that's actually what started my investment journey. So I was anywhere between probably 11 to 13 when my parents saw the money that I was making from babysitting and nannying, and we started an investment account for me. And so I invested in mutual funds and would put my cash and stuff away in that. Um, so honestly, it makes sense for me to now be an entrepreneur and be in real estate, because I feel like I've always had that hustle and that grit from the very beginning. But for me, I always chose what was safe. I felt like taking risks was really scary for me. And I kind of had to understand and realize that I needed to challenge that narrative and kind of, formulate my own path in a sense. So back in January of last year, actually, I founded Wicked Holdings, which is my real estate investment company. And I did it for a few different reasons. One, I was always looking at homes. I was always like on Zillow, like that was just kind of an interest of mine. And I had a lot of fun doing it. Two, I loved interior design. So anything that got that kind of like creative juices flowing, like that's really what was a big interest of mine. Having my finance and accounting background, crunching numbers, that was my jam. Like I still like underwriting and everything's like so fun for me. And that, I think that my accounting background helped me with underwriting not being so intimidating. Because I don't know, does anyone else underwrite in this group at all? Okay, Margaret, I see Margaret. Okay, so underwriting. So you know that these spreadsheets are huge, and you open them and you're like, what is this? Like, where do I even begin? And so I think that kind of like intimidation really was something that was kind of curbed in a sense from my like past previous work experience doing accruals and all that fun stuff. But the last element that I really wanted to take note of too was that I really wanted to be able to help people. And so I'm like, okay, how, reflecting, figuring out, okay, these are my three passions, but how do I help someone in the same regard? All of that kind of transpired out into real estate. And so that basically kind of led me to purchasing my first piece of land. So I bought a lot out in inner Houston, like inner city, right actually between TSU and University of Houston. And I did that specifically because I knew that there was some student housing that was close by that hadn't been updated in decades. And so just doing some market research and stuff, I saw that this area was changing and gentrifying. And I knew that there was people that were being displaced, and I wanted to go in and try to make a difference. So purchase that piece of land. That one's going to be a new development project, which I'm probably going to end up doing some sort of affordable student housing or some sort of student housing project on it. But my point is that sometimes you don't know what it looks like. You kind of just have to take action, and you just have to like jump into the journey. I think that when we stay safe in our own minds, and it doesn't really like allow us to pursue our maximum version of ourselves and pursue growth. So that's like one tip that I would absolutely say about getting into real estate, especially multifamily, because it's different than residential for sure, is taking action. Like, don't be afraid, because there's other people that are out there that are doing it, and we don't all know exactly what the picture looks like. You just have to go for it, right? Another thing that I would say that, let's see. So I went from the land, to single family. So single family, purchased just a single family home, fixer upper, was going in for the BRRRR strategy. Does anyone know what the BRRRR strategy is at all? The BRRRR strategy. So when you're going in and, okay, Cinto, tell me what you got.
Yeah, so that's when, so the BRRRR strategy is, if people want a reference, it was coined, I believe, by Brandon Turner from Bigger Pockets. So it's an acronym. So it's buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. Now there's an advanced version of it, but I'll get into that later. But that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, awesome. That's exactly what it is. So thank you for participating, by the way. So that is what I ended up doing on my first project. Looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I took on this project for my first one, because it was a major fixer-upper to the extent that we ended up actually gutting the house and just fixing foundation, every sort of structural thing that you could possibly think of, we ended up doing on the home. But I had a specific formula. So I don't know if anyone else follows this, but it's 70% of ARV minus repairs. And that is what I typically follow for any of the purchases that are in that kind of residential side, like 1 to 4 units. Once you hit in that 5 units above, then you're considered small multifamily, and that's the commercial world. So that's analyzed differently than pulling comps like you would on basically commercial properties are analyzed by their NOI and the income that you are generating on the property. And for single family, that is analyzed by comps, or what are known as like comparables. So recently sold homes that are in that area that have that same sort of not demographic, but like the same unit count. So you're looking for, if you have a 3-1, then you'd be looking at 3-1s. You wouldn't be looking at, 5-bedroom homes. You want to compare exactly as your property is that you're looking at or that you have under contract. So anyway, fast forward, worked on this property, did a full gut. We actually just finished up, and I'm going through the cash out refinance process, which is basically the last part of it before you end up repeating. But it's a great way to get started in real estate investing. And I say it because it's a great way to be able to recycle your money. So you can get really creative with it and go in with private money, or go in with like a hard money loan. You can go in with some sort of creative structuring where you don't end up really even bringing much money, if any, to the table. So for this property that I had got under contract and had purchased, I came out of pocket, closing costs plus my inspection of $500. I ended up putting less than $10,000 into it. So I got a hard money loan for the acquisition as well as the rehab, and any other additional materials and different costs I ended up just floating out of my pocket until I could do draws. But going through all of that at the same time, I was focusing on multifamily, because let me tell you, real estate is not for the faint of heart. And I don't say it in a sense of like trying to scare anyone, because I do think that there's everyone that goes through like different struggles and different issues on their projects, but not everyone's so willing to share that side of it. So just know that if you go through any sort of struggling, or you've got issues unexpected that come up, that is absolutely entirely normal. And that is why I put out, even on my social media on LinkedIn, I share like the good and the bad, because that's what it is. It doesn't make sense to just post out the success and, oh, I closed on this, and oh, I just did this, and this is the perfect numbers, because reality is even as an entrepreneur and a business owner, not everything is going to look 100% on point all of the time. It is what it is. And I wish that other people had come and like been more forthcoming about like their issues. Now that I have a lot of friends that are in real estate investing, and they're telling me, oh yeah, like I had a tenant that was about to move in and the ceiling fell in, and now I'm going to like go out to on site to meet with my contractor, and we got to fix it. And I'm like, dang, like that sucks. But at the same time, it's like, well, it's kind of normal. Like that stuff just happens. It is what it is, right? But I think that when we can share our journeys and be honest and forthcoming about our situations, and this is the crap that actually happened, it's like, it makes other people's journeys that much easier, because they're not as quick to, if someone is struggling or they have an issue, they're not as quick to quit, because they know that's just part of it. It's just part of the game, right? And so coming from that single family, full rehab project, I actually ended up passively investing. And I passively invested in 148 units that was based out of Mobile, Alabama. And that is where I got a really good taste of not only learning about the securities, the private placement memorandums, like the PPMs, which is the documents that explain or describe the securities that are, that you would be potentially or investing in. But it also talks about, you get the operating agreement, you get a lot of other documents that are within, it's called subscription documents. And so those are the things that you'll review in order to invest. And essentially it's kind of like if people invest in stocks and you get those disclosure agreements or the disclosure documents from like your financial advisor or a robo advisor or whatever. That's typically what you will receive on the real estate side as well, because it is securities and it is a way that you are able to invest as an LP or a limited partner in syndications. So did that. I would absolutely recommend, if you ever have any sort of interest in raising capital for multifamily deals, syndications, anything, I recommend passively investing. And I say that because you really understand the other point of view. So if you've never passively invested, and this is just an opinion, but if you've never passively invested, but you're raising capital for a deal as a GP or a general partner, it's really difficult to understand what your investors want or what they need because you've never been on that side of the table. So it's kind of nice because you want to sit on both sides of the table so you can say, okay, look, like this is what I went through when I was passively investing and I didn't like it, or I loved this part of it. And this is what I want to make so easy for my investors going forward. Or the fact too, that sometimes when you meet sponsors, you get a chance to know them, you like them and you trust them, but then you don't want them to, to invest and then ghost you. So again, these are some of the things that when you passively invest that you understand and you learn, and it helps you with when you've got your own investors that you are handling and updating and dealing with. So I did the LP role, and then very quickly, ghost. Okay, sorry, let me open this chat. Ghost means like they're gone. Like you invest with them and then it's really hard to get a hold of them again. That is absolutely not what you want to do. And I know that sometimes people they don't do it on purpose, but this is why it's really important to have like your marketing updated. And Lawrence is really good about that because I see all of the meetups and I see them like very frequently in the emails, and that just like keeps you at the forefront of people's minds and your thoughts. You want to do that as a general partner as well, so that your investors know, okay, well, I don't have to wait for the once a month that I get contacted, or once, or maybe just when there's a problem or whatever. Like you want to just keep up with them so that they know that you care about them. That's the biggest thing. Let's see, let me just go through the chat. So passive, okay, cool. Yeah, so after passively investing, then I started, I got my first co-GP deal. So GP as on a property out in Columbia, South Carolina. And that was 24 units. I say co-GP because there's a difference. So even though you're on the operating agreement as a general partner, co-GP just means sometimes people will give that term instead of GP. And all it means is that like you're not necessarily leading the deal itself. So there might be someone who found the deal, one of the GPs, and then you've got other pieces of it where you've got GPs that are taking care of asset management. You have ones that are raising capital. You have others that are investor relations. You've got people, some of them for underwriting. I know that there's some teams that are out there where they've got one or two people that strictly do all of like the underwriting because that's what they're good at. So when you're developing a team, especially as you get into multifamily and everyone's got their own strengths, make sure that you make a team where not everyone loves doing the exact same thing, or not everyone's really good at just doing one thing altogether. And what I mean by that is like, you don't want to join into, a group and there's like 5 of you and everyone loves to capital raise and no one can underwrite and you don't have anyone that wants to do asset management. Pick people that, that you guys will not only like vibe with, because it is going to be you're in it for the long haul, because typically your hold periods are anywhere between 5 and 7 years. I have seen some that are as low as like a 3-year hold time. Although right now has been interesting, and Lawrence has probably seen this, but there has been some operators that have gone full cycle in 12 months or 18 months on a deal that should have sat there for 5 years. And now people are scrambling. Like, now what do I do with all this money that I've gained? Because I don't want to have to pay, legally. I don't want to have to pay like taxes on it. So now I got to go find another asset that I can 1031 this money into, so that I don't have to pay a huge capital gains tax on that deal. So just some things just to be mindful when you're creating your team, and everyone just have like very good communication with one another, and that your goals and your mission and your values align. Property management is also something that's huge that I've seen that can kind of like make or break a deal. So if you are, new, kind of getting into multifamily, also understand that there are property management companies that specialize in different types of asset classes. So, you've got your class A, B, C, and D. I don't invest in class D assets. I actually have not yet in class A either, but I focused pretty much on class B and C and value add, meaning that there's some sort of renovation or some sort of operating inefficiencies that are present, that we're going to go in and make some changes and stuff too. I feel like I'm talking a lot. Does anyone have any questions or anything at all? No? Okay.
One question, Nicole, one question. You said Wicked Holdings. So now the question is, I don't know, where'd that name come from? Wicked Holdings.
Okay. No, I get that question a lot. So thank you for asking. Wicked Holdings, being from, living in Canada, up north, when you say like wicked, it means cool, like something that's cool, that's really awesome. And so for me, I can't say that I'm the most like traditional person at all. But I loved the name Wicked because I felt like, okay, it means awesome. It's going to have like people that, kind of on their toes a little bit, thinking, what does that mean? Especially in Texas. But I wanted to surround myself with awesome people with an awesome name. And so that's basically where it came from.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
hopefully it's memorable in a good way.
It is. I just want to say you made some great points about your team, right? And making sure everybody is on the same page, everybody's vibing together, and making sure that everyone sticks to their lane and no two people do the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's super important. And it's good to hash those details out before you start the team, before you all take down a deal together. And then you're like, well, I wanted to underwrite. Well, I wanted to do this, or, well, I wanted, I can't raise capital. And everyone's like, well, I can't either. Then you're kind of hooped, right? So
We got
a question from Cinto. Go ahead, Cinto.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Larry. Hey, Nicole, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Oh, by the way, as soon as I heard that your name was Wicked Holdings, I was like, oh, that's a Canadian reference. I could tell. But yeah, my question is, being a Black woman, what trials and tribulations have you faced getting into the real estate industry, or just any industry you've had experience in the past? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. So honestly, coming from the oil and gas industry, that's a very heavily white man dominated industry as well. So I was used to already being like one of the only kind of minorities that are kind of in the room. Now, real estate's a little bit of a different animal, right? And I think that for me, going to the meetups and not seeing other Black women and very few Black men there, it can be a little bit intimidating in a sense. But I also understand too that it's kind of a strength to also be a minority. And what I mean by that is because there aren't many of us Black women and in the industry, in commercial on that side, you can really stand out. And as long as you've got like a good kind of head on your shoulders and you're confident and you are great at networking and kind of getting out there, you can push, people will want to partner with you and they'll want to learn more about you because you're unique. And so that's one thing that I've experienced is I've never felt like I've been like left out or anything. What I will say is that I've had to talk the talk a little bit more than maybe someone else who does not look like me. And I say that because there aren't a lot of Black women buying commercial. So when I go in and they maybe assume, oh, I'm on property management, which nothing's wrong with property management at all. Nothing, I have no qualms against any specific role. But you just have to make sure that you stand out and you're like, you know what, I'm here and I buy commercial buildings. I'm a buyer. I'm not here to, I'm not here to try to just kind of, how do you put it? Not just network. Like you don't want to just be like just there. You want to be there with like a purpose. So I haven't had any pushback personally, in my opinion, but I have seen that there's very few of us and it's unfortunate, but that's why I get out there so much on social media to show other people, other Black women, like we're out there and we're doing it and there's room and there's space for us.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the question.
Nicole,
I do have.
hold on.
I see Barbara.
Barbara. Yeah, Barbara.
Hi, Nicole. Yeah, thank you as well for actually being here because you're correct. There's not a lot of us. And I think when I started, there weren't a lot of Black women in the industry at all, even for the investing, flipping, anything. There weren't a lot of Black women. And that was a good while ago when I started. But now that I'm back, I really do enjoy, and I find that I like the multifamily. So I'm glad that you touched on the fact that there aren't many, African American women in this side of the industry. I think we are breaking into it, and we are, again, double minorities. We're women and we're, African American. So what my question was, though, I think you mentioned something about liking the B and C properties. I just wondered why you said that you like the B and C. What's the difference in the A properties for you than there is in the B and C?
Yeah, great question. Okay, so I'll start with, so B and C class properties, I like them because that's where the majority of your renter pool is going to be. That is typically where, you've got your not, I wouldn't say like affordable housing or anything like that, but that is going to be where your typical, like your average to maybe middle class person is going to rent. So there's just a larger rental pool on those. I also like them too because you can get them at a better price than you would an A class asset. And A class assets are ones that are pretty much like I think they're 5 years. They're not anything older than 5 years. So basically 1 to 5 year old properties are considered A class. The thing with those is that you've got a different investor pool. So because it is a newer property, you typically have the price point is a lot higher. And so the people that are looking for those sorts of deals are like, they are very, very, very either high net worth, or they are looking for, they are high income earners, and they're looking for just a place to park their money. So they're not always looking for, high returns. They just want somewhere where they can hedge against inflation, where their money is going to be safe and it's just going to grow like consistently. The B and C class properties, I like them because I can go in and do a better value add business plan on them. And so it's kind of like burring, right? So when you go in and you burr a single family, you have a lot more opportunity to go in and rehab B and C class properties and force that appreciation a lot higher on those properties than you would an A class asset. And it's also a different investor pool. So I'm in it to be able to help other people get passively invested. I don't want to stay strictly to the 506 C where, it's only accredited investors. I have a lot of investors that are in my network that are not accredited, but they've got a lot of money sitting around, and I still feel like they need that opportunity too, right? Like there's no one else that can say, hey, look, like, sorry, we can't use you because your net worth or your income's not high enough, but you have 100 grand sitting around, like, and you want to do something with it. Let me help you out. So I just like B and C class properties because of that. If I could get an A class for a steep discount, maybe, because then I can have, more people that, I can have my lower minimums and potentially fill it with a 506B, but depends. And then I just stay clear out of the class D properties. They're just not for me. And I'll say that I don't know if anyone's familiar with what the class D properties are, but essentially they're in typically very rough neighborhoods. And you've got a different tenant base that's in there. And I do have a property management company that's here in Houston that specializes in like the lower C class, and probably some D. Yes, exactly. D equals distress. Thank you. But I just typically stay away from those. I don't think that I've got enough experience related to dealing with those ones, but great question. Cinto, I see, let's see. Yeah, Cinto's got a question. What's up?
So I noticed you mentioned you've got a background in oil and gas, and my partners and I, we were talking about an oil and gas syndication. They were looking at some opportunities in Louisiana and I believe Texas. Is that something you'd be open to investing with, later on down the line, or if you're not already invested?
Let's chat. Are you on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Okay, let's connect there, because I think that I don't know if you're familiar with energy funders, but there's a couple of different funds that are out there right now that are kind of doing that. But I'd like to learn more, so we'll connect offline. We'll chat.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, you're welcome. Ray.
Hey Nicole, how you doing?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Sorry, I kind of jumped on late. I'm moving around over here. I was going to ask a similar question to the energy sector. I was surprised you weren't already in that already, because I know you said you did oil and gas. But the real estate question was, so when you're finding your deals and you're analyzing them, can you share like the spreadsheet that you use to calculate and analyze those different deals?
Like share it right now? Like the underwriting, you mean? Let's see.
Like, is it something that you and your team made, or did you maybe acquire that from somebody else or a course or?
So I actually started out using the Michael Blanc underwriter. I had an investor who shared the spreadsheet with me. And so I actually started out using that tool for underwriting. But then I also had, because of like the team and the people that I had partnered with on a couple of other GP deals, they couldn't understand like the underwriting from this specific tool because it was like so different than the one that they were used to. So that's one thing that I will recommend is when you're working as a team to always use the same underwriting tool so that it's the same across the board and everyone's understanding and jiving with the numbers. So I ended up actually switching from Michael Blanc. I tried the RAND underwriting tool. It's very, very detailed, which I love. I love details, but when you're going through and you're underwriting, you're trying to get back to a broker fairly quickly on like if the deal works or if it makes any sense. They don't want to be like twiddling their fingers trying to figure it out. And you don't want to be stuck on this huge spreadsheet putting in all those details. It's just not worth it. So I ended up switching from that when I use Synthesis. Are you familiar with like Marco Barbaro and Barbaro and Chris Jackson?
No.
Okay, so actually Nicole's in the group. Maybe she can leave their information, but it is the Make It Happen Mastermind. And two of my partners, or actually no, three of them are in that group. And they just shared with me the tool that they use. And so it's called Synthesis, and that's what I use to underwrite. And I've been very happy with it. It's detailed, but it's not so over the top that you're just like, oh my God, it's going to take me like 2 hours to underwrite this. So, and if it does in the beginning, that's okay too, because it did at first for me, underwriting. I was like, oh my gosh, my head. So just know that.
Gotcha. Okay. And you said Synthesis. What'd you say the mastermind was?
It's called the Make It Happen. Yeah, actually, Nicole Pendergrass just stuck it in the chat.
Okay, I see.
And I think if you send me a message, let me just drop my email in here real quick. If you send me a message, I can send you the Michael Blanc one if you want to look at it too, because I started with it. It's good. My team couldn't follow with it, so I just switched to Synthesis.
I mean, is Synthesis more up to date with like today's economy? I guess that's correct terms, I should say.
No, I mean, I'd say that they're both pretty updated. It's just how much detail you want to put into it. And then I think the Michael Blanc one has like on their dashboard, they have like 4 different things. So they have what the OM says, which is the offering memorandum. And then they have a column that has the pro forma, which is what you're going to build as part of your business plan with the updates from what your current rent is to what the market rent is. And then it's got 2 other columns as well, where you can kind of like test out, okay, if I offered this purchase price and if I offered this purchase price, what do my numbers look like? So it's got a good kind of like comparison on there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll add you. I'll add you on LinkedIn and message you.
Okay, perfect. It's easy to get a hold of me there. David, what's up? I see David has a question. Okay, maybe not.
Do we need to raise our hand or can we just?
No, go for it.
Okay, thank you. So my question is, if you were mentoring somebody new to this industry, they wanted to get into multi-housing, B, C class, and they were going to raise capital to secure these properties, where would you tell them to get started? Like, is there a course that you will recommend that person get into?
For strictly capital raising?
Well, no, just well, it could be capital raising, but for the whole multi-housing aspect of real estate investing.
Okay, I got you. Honestly, I would say that it's up to like the amount of experience that you have. So for me, like I had all of my experience on the residential side. And so, but I knew from multifamily that I wanted a coach. Like I wanted a mentor. I wanted someone that could kind of help me along because it's a different animal. Like the underwriting's different. You're not putting in contracts, you're putting in LOIs that then convert to PSAs. So it's different. So I would say to get started, at least to kind of like do a little bit of a dive into it and understand it, is listening to different podcasts, definitely reading books. There's a couple of really good ones. There's one by Brian Burke that talks about, I think it's called The Hands-Off Investor. And that talks about passively investing, but it also shares insight into the GP side as well. There is another one. Is it, Lawrence, it's a red book. Is it Tim Ferriss, the one that there's a multifamily investing book and everyone calls it like the Red Bible, but I haven't. Oh, you're on mute.
That's Joe Fairless.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
Joe Fairless's book.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you. So there's
Can you
that book.
spell that last name? What was the last name?
Joe Fairless, Farrles.
Yes.
Joe
Thank
Fairless.
you.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a great book on that. I self-taught, I guess, for the underwriting. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I bought a book by Rob Beardsley. Rob Beardsley, you'll probably see him on LinkedIn a little bit. He's a younger guy, but he's pretty heavy into the multifamily side. He wrote a book and I bought it because it was super helpful because he focuses on Texas markets. Now, mind you, cap rates and interest rates and everything are changing, and they're changing, I feel like, daily. But nonetheless, it has very good benchmarks. Yeah, there it is. Perfect. Best ever apartment syndication.
Right. Thank you. There you
Yeah.
go. And also, if you want to, there's also the GOB Network, which was founded by Jim Biggs. Also, you get a lot of information there. Also,
let me put that in there.
I would say also, thank you. Somebody please type. I can't type, so I'll be here before the meetup. So when the meetup's over, I'll still be typing. So, so you got that GOB Network. You also have meetups on Tuesday mornings with Daryl Murphy. Right, you got meetups on Friday afternoon with Tiffany Ward's meetup, which is more, and you got that's at 12 o'clock. And Tiffany put the information in the chat. You also have Brian Briscoe's meetup at 1 o'clock
on Fridays, right?
Fridays, you got Julianne Peterson's meetup later after mine, and Weiss's on Wednesdays.
Yep.
And you got Aaron Goins meetup. I'll put that in chat. You got Aaron Goins meetup on Thursday, right?
You also got the Shark Tank meetup on Thursday as well, where there's like 150 people there.
Yeah, that's on Facebook, right? I've seen it on Facebook.
So
but the meeting you can join.
Yep. Okay, all right.
So go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's awesome. I appreciate the help. So yeah, GOB Network, and actually, I went onto the GOB Network because I had kind of like self-taught by books and podcasts and just talking to people. Like that's the biggest thing is networking, because when they say that your network is your net worth, it is. That's how I got onto all of the GP deals that I'm on, and I've been learning about underwriting more from other people, and just like, sending off my underwriting to a mentor, being like, hey, can you look at this and tell me like what you think? And we collaborate. So
also one more shameless plug, Maya's Methods also. That's my so Maya's Methods on multifamily also.
Yeah, perfect. That's a good one. And he's got a really good podcast as well.
Right, podcast. You have Multifamily Missteps and Dream Chasers.
Yes. Cody Lewis has a really good podcast as well. And that one helps you out if you feel like you're the only person that's struggling. Like his podcast is different, where it talks about people's failures, but it's funny because you're like, oh, like, do I really want to listen to that? But when you listen to it, you realize you're like, hey, like, wow, I actually gained some experience, and I gained a lesson learned from someone else's crappy experience. So now I'm not going to make that same mistake. I now know like what to look for. And so, yeah, that's a really good one. I think it's called Real Estate Unsuccess Stories. Real Estate Unsuccess Stories. So, I mean, if anything, you can kind of have a little bit of a laugh, like, that sucks. Success stories. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was a lot. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, Nicole. Hey.
Cinto's actually first. He raised his hand first.
Oh, Cinto's first. Cinto.
Also a gentleman, so Nicole can go first. Go ahead.
Nicole,
Oh, okay.
he's letting
Well,
you
just
go.
really quick. Everyone naming all of these meetups, but 50 million meetups. My brain is mush. I need somebody to write those down. Can we have an interactive Google Doc? Somebody do a post.
Nicole, I was just
All your meetups, all your podcasts, meetup
this
times, the
is
links, and then people add to the post in the comments. Like if you got another meetup to, something, because this is just too many meetups to keep track of.
Larry.
My
Larry,
brain
I was
is way I can remember all these.
Nicole, you literally hacked my brain. That's what I was just about to suggest. What I was going to say was I'm actually going through the same. Don Spafford sent me a list through an email. So every day I just check that email. So I don't have a way to efficiently join all these meetups. So that is exactly what I was about to suggest. I can get the ball rolling and share with everybody. This is for Emmanuel though. We were trying to help him out. Emmanuel, do you have a LinkedIn account?
Let's see, Emmanuel.
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's going to be your best friend.
Yeah.
My LinkedIn went from 30 people to 300 in the course of 6 weeks because of these meetups. So you will be put through the ringer. So my suggestion is anyone who doesn't have a LinkedIn, get LinkedIn, and let's with Nicole's suggestion, we should get a meetup Google Sheets online where
I'm
a
gonna
couple
put that
of
on Laddie since this is his
Yeah.
meetups. He can spearhead that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we made it work for him.
and you know what, Larry, we can I'll help you on it since all I do
Thank
is just
you,
Google
Nicole.
Sheets.
Thank you.
So
for
let
me-
me know you and I can work on that together, okay, Larry?
Okay, cool.
Okay, I'll be happy to help you out. Good idea. See, great ideas. Thanks, Nicole.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm turning into the room. Doesn't he like to volunteer people?
Yes.
Up and down.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Actually, Emmanuel too, on the GOB network, when you join, like you reach out to Jim Biggs and tell him like who sent you. You can reach out to him on LinkedIn. I think he'll send you, when you do connect with him, he'll send you with this giant like Google sheet that has every single way that you could possibly get a hold of him. Great guy. But he, when you log in, like once you get accepted and whatnot, to the GOB network, they have some really great videos, and it's like a crash course of everything that's multifamily related, and it's all free. So I even did that too, because I was like, what am I missing? Am I missing anything? And so I did the whole thing, and it's great. So just FYI.
I'm so sorry. I mean, we'll definitely put this on the sheet, but I forgot to mention my man Lee. He's got a meetup now. I just joined last Saturday. Hey, Lee.
Lee Johnson? No,
Lee.
wait.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Is he on here? I'm like, did I see his name? No, I didn't.
I'm having dinner though, but I'm big. Thank you, Cinto. I appreciate you, brother.
You're welcome. What are you eating?
Food.
Lee, I saw your post today.
Thank you.
Good job.
That thing that Jonas is having is like driving me nuts. But oh man, I don't know if I really want to be that popular, but it's working, right? I'm getting more people to be connected to me, but it's taking a lot. I still have a day job, and all of those emails coming in is like, wow.
Yeah.
This is on steroids.
It's explosive, and I feel the pain kind of too, because I feel like I'm on LinkedIn all day trying to like keep up and answer whatever. I'm just like, oh my gosh. And that's the only thing I feel like I'm focusing on. But yeah, no, I think all of us are in that same boat where we're just like minds blown. But yeah.
I saw you on there too. So that's one of the reasons why I joined, to meet
Nice.
you in person, virtually rather.
Yeah, no, well, thank you. Thank you for the support.
All right.
So I don't know, how much time do we have? It's 7:10. How much time do we have, Lawrence? Because I have that thing that I want to share, screen share. You're muted. Let's see. Has to unmute. Lawrence, you're muted.
You got
Do
15
I have
minutes.
time?
15 minutes.
15?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so I do want to share very quickly 3 things that I felt like I was most scared of, and maybe other people can resonate with this too. But taking risks, that was like a big thing of mine. You want to stay in safe territory. Like your brain has been actually developed in order to keep you safe. So anytime that you've got fears, like your brain's telling you to like go the opposite way, like don't go towards what that scary thing is. But just know that when you take those risks, that there is some sort of reward that's on the other side. So take risks. I had a lot of self-limiting beliefs because I did come from like W-2 corporate America background. And I was like entrepreneurship, are you sure? Like, okay, I gotta run a business now. Like I gotta, raise capital and all this stuff. Just know that it comes together. And I think I've seen on LinkedIn a few times that there's like this imposter syndrome. What is it? I think it's a Zoom meetup thing, and they do it not weekly, but I have seen it before, and it's a lot of founders that are on there, and they just discuss normal things. Like we all feel that way at some point. So never be afraid to reach out to anyone on LinkedIn who's doing big things, because that is how you are going to excel in your career. You need to surround yourself by people that are ahead of you in the journey as well, so that you can learn from them, but also accept the help. Ask them, how can I provide value to you? They will absolutely reach out, and they might say, you know what, I'm happy to just know who you are. But no, like, okay, well, instead of saying like, well, how can I provide value to you? Say like, hey, next time you have something, or what area or what is your target market? Maybe I can bring you a deal. Just something to be able to help someone else along in their journey. And they will appreciate that too, because you're not just asking for something. You're trying to provide value first with no expectation in return. Eventually, it will transpire and something may or may not come out of it. But if it does, then, it's a win-win for everyone. And then I'll also say too, that I was scared starting out in real estate because it was a very unfamiliar territory for me, because I didn't grow up around real estate. I didn't know or have that background at all. And that's something that I hear that's very common from other individuals too, that reach out to me and they're like, I don't know that I can do it because I don't have any real estate background. And I'm like, that's okay, because neither did I. And it's just, you learn it and you just go with the flow, and that's just part of your journey. Everyone's path looks different, so embrace your path. So let me just screen share real quick, and I'll go through this quickly because I know I don't have much time. And let me see. Lawrence, why did this work before? And then, oh, here we go. I'm like, oh my gosh, this worked. Okay, here we go. All right, guys, I got this. Present. Okay, here we go. All right. So 10 traits of successful entrepreneurs. Can you guys see this okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So real quick, I'm going to go through this. This is just something that I've read before and I kind of have embraced, to be honest. And it's just something that I feel like when you are on that entrepreneurial journey, that there are certain traits that you either have to be okay with or that you embody in some way. So one of the first ones is going to be a vision. Do you have an end goal in mind? You have to have some sort of end goal for you to be able to proceed on your path and really understand the direction that you're heading. Okay. So if you don't have a vision, you should. So think about that. Passion. This is going to be your driving factor when that path gets windy and it goes to the left and to the right, and then it splits off, and you just have to understand like what it is that you're doing and stick with it. So know your why, because your why is going to be that driving factor as well. And that plays into that passion too. When things get rough and you need that additional motivation to keep going, that motivation might not be something that's internal. Maybe it's external. Maybe you're trying to like spend more time with your family, or maybe you're trying to help people achieve something specific in their life. Whatever it is, knowing your why is going to help you with sticking with it during the whole part of your journey. Uncertainty tolerant is number 4. Don't wait for the perfect moment, because the perfect moment does not exist in getting started. I used to think that way with kids before my husband and I had our kids, our first, well, we've got 2 now, but the first one, we were like, well, we're on like year 11. Things still don't seem like it's the perfect moment to, have kids, but there's never going to be a perfect moment to start a business. You're never going to feel like you have enough money or you have enough time. You just have to start it and roll with it. So that's okay. That's how people get started. Self-confidence. You are your greatest cheerleader. So remember that. There's not going to be anyone else that is rooting for you as much as you were rooting for yourself. I know that we've got family, like my mom's on here tonight, and I love her for that. I'm really happy that she was able to make it. And so I'm lucky in the sense I do have a supportive family, but that self-confidence is going to be the thing that pushes you forward in your business. Adaptability. Can you pivot? Multiple exit strategies. So there's other people that are in here that talked about owning single families, right? If you're going through a BRRRR, what happens if you have an issue where your ARV is not as high, and so now you've got like your cash out refis kind of disturbed from that? Do you have a different exit strategy? Can you hold it as a rental and just roll out and not cash out refi, just refi and keep the money in the deal? Or do you take a property and you're like, okay, I'm gonna fix and flip this, and then realize, oh crap, like it's been sitting on the market for a long time. Now I got to hold it as a rental. Can I do that? So always having multiple exit strategies and understanding pivoting quickly, making quick decisions. And that's kind of where Rule 7 comes in too with rule breaking. We have to understand as business owners and people in real estate is that there is risk, but it has to be calculated. You don't just jump out in front of like a moving car and you're like, oh, like someone save me, whatever. Like you have to think about it and understand, okay, I'm okay with taking risks, but it has to make sense. Don't follow the crowd. I mean, yeah, maybe the crowd's kind of cool, but maybe that's not the path for you. So just understand that. Ability to plan. So if you guys have not read this book before, where is it? It's on the couch. It's called Who Not How. So it talks about Lawrence, are you laughing at me right now?
I was just going to ask you, did you get most of these points from Who Not How? I just finished reading.
I didn't. You know what's funny is I did this post. So really,
you got a little Simon Sinek in there. Start with why. There's a little bit of who, not how. There's a little bit, your network is your net worth.
These are all the posts that I do. And I did a post on this exactly. Now, not all the little pieces in here, because this is just like, these are mental notes that I've actually written out on here. So I didn't be like, and freeze in front of you guys. But this was a post that I had done, and I had just seen like 10 traits of successful entrepreneurs, like way while back. And I thought that it would be a really good piece to kind of add to the presentation, because these are things that are like, I don't know, they're pretty solid. If you've read about it too, like, then you know, right?
Well, they say if you don't have a plan, you plan to fail, right?
Yeah. And the one thing, so I haven't finished Who Not How yet.
You haven't finished it?
No, I haven't finished. That's why you're like, you just gave me all of the, what is it called? Oh my gosh, when someone tells you all the movie and you're like,
yeah, spoiler. But you know, I don't want to spoil it for you, but that book is like amazing. I got it last Monday and I'm one chapter from finish. Please send me a message when you finish so that we can nerd out on it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited. I'm on page like 58 right now. I have my 10 pages today, but that is right. And that's one piece of the book that I took away was like, damn it, you know, which I probably shouldn't swear.
Yeah,
but
you shouldn't do that with moms.
I'm sorry about that. But you sit there, how many of you guys sit there and you're like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to accomplish this? How do I tackle that? It's not about how, it's who is going to help you figure it out? Who can you go to who knows how to do that? We spend so much time sitting there figuring out, asking ourselves all these questions that then it leads to procrastination, because you're not really procrastinating, you just don't know what to do. So stop asking how, start asking who, which that
And
rhymes.
procrastination leads to what? Depression, self-doubt, and all of those things, because I have these great ideas that I want to get done. However, because I don't know how to do it, right? I'm stuck. And then, okay, I'll do it next month. And then I'll do it next year. And next thing you know, 5 years has passed. All of these goals that you had for yourself are no longer there. When I graduated from college, I sold Amway. A lot of people probably wouldn't want to hear that. But one of the things that we remember when they were teaching us is that one of the things about people is when they are in their youth, their dream circles are extremely big, right? And as they grow older, their dream circles start to go smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, right? With the finding your who, it's allowing you to keep your dream circle as big as you want to be. But one of the things that we're doing right now, we're completing one right now, is the impact filter to tell people when you give them something, what defines success, what defines failure, and you give it to that other person. And that who should be attracted to your vision because they're excited about helping you to be successful. So you become a who for them and they become a who for you. So it's a complete circle. It's a wonderful book.
Yeah, no, I love that. I absolutely love that. Thank you for sharing, because that is absolutely true. And how many of us sit back and we hold our thoughts and our ideas and our feelings to ourselves? We're scared to share, or we're like, oh, that idea is like too big, or it's dumb, or whatever. It's not. But in order to really start to put it out there and accomplish these goals, you have to not only visualize it, but you have to speak it into existence. And now I feel like I'm talking like I don't know, like a guru or something like that. But it's true though. And the book, actually, Nicole, my friend Nicole Pendergrass, who's on here, talked about vivid vision. So if you have not read that book, that is an amazing book as well. And that just helps you with visualizing and speaking it out, speaking your truth. Being involved. Yeah, guys, you're gonna have to wear a lot of hats. Maybe at first, and maybe your journey is going to be somewhere where you were able to hire a VA, or you can hire an assistant, or you can start to like outsource some of those duties kind of, early on. I'm still wearing a lot of hats myself, which can be sometimes a little bit overwhelming, but that's just part of it. And, you just kind of have to always stay learning. So reading books, podcasts, social media content, all that stuff. I don't have a marketing background, and that was just something I absolutely had to learn, where I was like, okay, well, I got my own business now. I guess I better figure out what to do. So yeah, always stay learning, wear some hats. And then eventually the goal is to not have to wear as many hats. You just wear the one that you want to wear. And then everyone else can wear the ones that they, their strengths surround. And last one is to be self-motivated. You can't rely on other people to motivate you. You have to have that within yourself. And that stems from your why. So knowing your why, what you're passionate about, that will all keep you self-motivated in your journey. And that's something that I hold strong to myself. And that's been a very big part of my journey and where I am today, is to just have that, again, be your inner cheerleader. Mindset is huge. Create opportunity for others to grow too. So that's where the passive investing comes along. And, it hasn't been something where it's been, syndications have been around for a long time. I feel like they just have been very limited as to who was able to invest in these sorts of investment classes. So create opportunity for other people to grow, and just it'll come full circle at some point, and it just feels good to be able to help other people. Don't compare your journey to others. Keep the end goal vision in mind. And business is both success and failure. The failure and the success both will give you opportunity to learn from it. So That's what I've got, guys. Persistence guarantees results are inevitable. So yeah, thank you for having me tonight, Larry. There, let me see. Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate your time, giving your time. Can you put the screen share off?
Oh yes, yeah. Let me take that off. Stop share.
Thank you.
There we go.
So once again, I want to say thank you very much. You did a fantastic presentation. You got a bunch of nuggets of information. I don't know if anybody got it because I got 2 pages worth. If you were nervous before, no, we're not. No, you wasn't. So before we go, right? Everybody, please turn your camera on, right, so we can see your beautiful faces. So you can get your hair together, and let me get my hair together too.
Yeah, let me get
it together. Tiffany, Tanisha, Slandy, please put your cameras on. Everybody put your cameras on, please.
Let me get my scalp together.
get it clean.
Chuck, what's up, Chuck?
You're not gonna be able to see me, Lawrence.
Okay, Tiffany. Okay, I'll take it.
I'm in the car. It's dark.
Okay, all right. Everybody, please come to the camera. Get close to it. Put a smile on your face. One more time again. Come on, Mom. You can smile too. There you go, Mom. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to end it like this. Thank you, Nicole, for coming on again. We appreciate you, and you're always a friend to the platform. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I had fun. I was nervous. Yes, I was, but I had a great time. So I appreciate everyone that's come, and yeah, just look forward to connecting.